Summer hairstyles always look good indoors, but what happens when you add humidity? Well, hi, I'm Kayley, your friendly neighborhood hairstylist, and today we're going to talk about how to work with humidity for great summer hairstyles. My philosophy is that even with really good products and really good styling, humidity is always going to impact a little bit, but there are tips and tricks that we can use in order to have great hairstyles that work with the humidity throughout the day, and that's what we're going to talk about with each hairstyle as we go through. But first, I'm actually going to put some anti-humidity products to the test to see which ones actually perform the best, slash if they perform at all, because I've always been a little bit dubious about anti-humidity products. Then I'm going to show you 5 summer hairstyles that I think work really well with humidity and you can really enjoy whether you're indoors or outdoors or both this summer. And at the very end, I'm putting all of my tips and tricks to the test. I'm going to take the best products, my best tips and tricks, put them all together and head outside into the heat and humidity and see how my hair does. And we'll see if it all works out in the end. All right, so that's a lot to do. Let's get started. Before I started testing summer hairstyles, I wanted to see which anti-humidity products, if any of them, actually do anything. So I pulled out some extensions and my steamer to see who folds under pressure and which products are actually worth the hype. I'm using my handy dandy facial steamer to introduce some moisture and heat into the air. It's obviously not exactly like being outside in humidity, but I think it's gonna get us close enough in a controlled situation. To choose the products, I took to the internet and I scoured bestseller lists and trending products, and this is what I came up with. First, we have the Color Wow Dream Coat. This is basically the internet's anti-humidity darling. I have seen this all over my social media feeds. This L'Oreal one is the drugstore contender, almost a dupe potentially for the Color Wow. Then we've got 2 Waydad products as our curl specialists. You can use this for your natural texture or mix it into your styling routine. Then we have the Garnier Sleek and Shine Anti-Frizz Serum, because whenever I think frizz fighting at the drugstore, I think of Garnier. And finally, for another internet darling, we have Amika the Shield Anti-Humidity Spray. I have heard so many good things about this one, but this is when she realized she messed up. I forgot to do a control curl. So I quickly remedied that situation because we definitely need to see what happens if you don't use any anti-humidity products at all. And I'm glad I did, because before I added in the control curl, I was starting to wonder if the test was actually working because the curls were like looking fine. But then I added in the control curl and there was a really big difference. And at that point, I knew 2 things. 1, I was on the right track. And 2, the anti-humidity products were actually working. But once we start looking at the curls to evaluate how the products perform, the first thing I noticed is that all of the products work to some extent. So round of applause for our contestants. The 2 Shield products, which are the Color Wow and the L'Oreal, did the best as far as frizz fighting and maintaining a really beautiful shine on the hair. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, the L'Oreal one actually feels silkier and softer in real life, which is amazing news because it's literally half the price of the Color Wow one. Performs just the same and even feels a little bit nicer for half the price. A win. Their main downside is that the curl drops significantly for both of them compared to all the other products, which has been my experience with this kind of Shield products. They can be a little bit much for hard to curl hair, just like a little bit too heavy. So it leaves you deciding which is most important to you. If frizz fighting is most important, a great pick. If curl definition and curl retention is more important to you, maybe not as much. The next 2 standouts for me were the Waydad Gel and the Amika Spray. I found that those really held a curl well while frizz fighting as well, which I love to see. I feel like they struck a really good balance between humidity protection and style retention. I am particularly impressed by how unbothered the Amika curl looks. And that just leaves us with the Waydad Leave-In and the Garnier Serum. And for me, they both did perform well. They look much better than the control curl, but they didn't perform as well as either the Shield products or the more style maintaining products. So that just kind of leaves the middle of the pack. Like, I like them, I would use them again, they just weren't standouts for me today. And a quick little addendum, you can always stack products. So if you really like how the Shield products perform, but you want more hold, you could always do the whole Shields thing and then make sure you use a gel or hold enhancing product so that you get both, style retention and frizz fighting. Anything like that is always an option for you. So it's not like one and done. You can always think about how these products could interact with other products that you already have and love as well. Based on our results today, I'm gonna be taking the Waydad Gel and the Amika Spray forward into the rest of the video and into our real world test. I just felt like they did a really good job of fighting humidity, but also retaining my style.
And honestly, all of these results make a lot more sense if you understand how humidity works on the hair.
Okay, the easiest way to think about humidity in hair is to think about what humidity actually is, which is a measure of moisture in the air. High humidity is basically like being sprayed continuously with a very fine mist water bottle all day long. So what happens to your hair when you lightly mist it with a water bottle? That is probably what happens when you encounter high humidity for a long time. The temporary hydrogen bonds in your hair break from the style that you put into them and revert back to their natural texture. But not every single hair and not all at once. So you end up with kind of a slow moving flash mob of frizz and or falling curls as the humidity affects your hair throughout the day. Humidity products help to slow this process down by repelling some of the water in the air, though importantly, they are not completely waterproofing your hair, which is good. I don't think you actually want that. But because they are gonna let a little bit of water in still, we are still gonna have humidity win a little bit of the battle every single time we encounter it. So instead of trying to completely defeat humidity, my strategy is to work with it, to look at what a little bit of humidity getting through those products is gonna do to your hair and go ahead and account for it as you're styling your hair. And that's the philosophy I'm gonna be taking forward into all of these hairstyles as we discuss today. So let's talk about how. If you're gonna wear your hair down while it's humid outside, my best advice that I can give you is to stay as close to your natural texture as you can. That way, as your hair absorbs the moisture from the air and begins to revert back to its natural state, it doesn't have that far to go. And that idea sounds so good in theory and will work for so many people, unless, like me, you have multiple textures on your head. I have very wavy hair back here and right here, and then like straight hair on top. So instead of fighting all those different textures super hard, I just go with a loose wave that kind of mimics my natural wave pattern, a little bit looser, and that way it's a little bit more intentional and consistent throughout my head, but also once the humidity starts to hit it, the waves are gonna hold on the lower levels, and even if the top layers stretch out a little bit, it's still gonna look good. It just gets a little bit more beachy. But another thing you can do if you do have kind of the Irish girl thing going on is you can kind of put up the top half of your hair into like a bun or some braids like we have later in the video, and then that way you can't tell and you can just go with your natural curls on the bottom, which is kind of nice. So to do that, obviously first we're gonna apply products. Okay, first leave-in conditioner. This one isn't humidity specific, but I do use it basically every time I wash my hair. Leave-in conditioner is important because it helps with detangling. It provides a light conditioning layer to your hair. Basically, it just kind of extends what your conditioner can do. And then for some hold, I'm gonna be adding in the Wavy gel. This one I have really enjoyed putting on my wet hair and then styling on top of it. I don't know if the brand would recommend that, but it's especially good with heatless curls because it helps them to hold really, really well. It adds some nice shine. And as we saw in the product test, it does really well against humidity. And then last thing, I'm gonna add in the Amika, the Shield Spray. Admittedly, this one is heat activated and I'm doing heatless curls right now, but I probably will end up using some heat later, so we're gonna put her in anyway. Now I'm gonna be doing these curls heatlessly because I find that on my hair that doesn't like to hold a curl, especially in humidity, heatless curls hold way better. I don't understand why. I have some theories, but I have noticed that that is the truth. That being said, I will show you guys how you can do these same waves with a curling iron after I take down the heatless waves. For my heatless curls today, I am going to be using long socks. These are really thin socks, so I am doubling them up. And I'm gonna use 2 bunches of socks on each side of my head. Or you can use one of these curling noodle type devices if you want, and you could use 2 of them if you want to replicate exactly what I'm doing. So first we split our hair in half, and then I'm gonna do this in 3 sections, but every section is basically the same. First one is in front of my ears, and I clip my sock. And then you split your section in half. I like to split it diagonally, and then you wrap each section around the sock going in opposite directions. So this one is gonna go away from the face. This one is gonna go toward the face. The easiest way to think about that is just crisscross them on top of the noodle, wrap it around, crisscross them at the back of the noodle. Now the most important thing for getting that loose wave, that kind of like 2B, 2C wave, is to really leave space in between each rotation. So you can see all this sock in between my hair.
That's gonna make sure that the curl is a little bit more elongated into a wave. Give you more of that kind of waver look than a curling iron look. Then in the end, you secure it with a scrunchie, but if you're using a sock, you also have the benefit of being able to flip it up and protect the ends, and then use your scrunchie. And then you really just keep repeating that. I really don't like doing these like a French braid where you have to pick up a little bit of hair every time you wrap it around your curling apparatus, because my hair is super fine, and when it's wet, it's like tacky and stringy, and it feels like I'm fighting with spider webs to try to make it happen. So I just don't mess around with that. So for this section, in order to avoid all of that drama, I split it in half, split that in half again, and start wrapping. Then when I get to about the height of the second section of hair that I've left out, I'm just gonna pick up a chunk of hair here and put the other chunk of hair with the other piece and keep moving. So I guess it's like the French braid method, but you only have to add in hair one time. And that feels doable to me. And then you just repeat the same thing on the other side. Now you're gonna wait for these to dry completely, and then we can reveal. You can either do this in the morning if you know you have like an event in the evening, and then you can take down the socks and, you know, wear the hair out. Or you can wear these to sleep in overnight, and then you'll have your hair ready to go the next day. But I'll see you guys when this is dry. And I'm back. Let's take this out and see how it looks. Here we are, straight off the rollers. It's not too bad, but let's finesse it. I like to go through and pull each curl out into like more little pieces. If you need some frizz taming, you can put some serum on your fingers while you do this. This just breaks up the curls a little bit more so that it's not like a couple chunks of curls. It's lots of little curls. You can also shake it. I don't feel like I need to touch this up with heat, but I did want to show you guys how you could do it with the curling iron, so let's just hit a couple pieces. I'm gonna use a 1-inch wand, and if I was starting from the beginning, I would go in sections. But you're just gonna take pieces of hair and wrap them around the wand like we did with the sock, with a lot of room in between every rotation. If your hair is really long, you might have to wrap it around more than once, which is kind of a bummer, but it doesn't actually take that long. And you can see that curl looks really, really similar to the heatless one. Only other thing you have to do is make sure that you're alternating directions. So some curls go toward your face, some curls go away from your face. And that's how you can do this with a curling wand. And how you can touch up your heatless curls if you need to with a curling wand as well. And then I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of the Garnier Fructis serum. Anything that you like to use to defrizz and kind of polish, I think is good here. You kind of want to go for like over polished inside so that when you go outside, it gets like a nice amount of texture. And I've got to say the ends this time turned out pretty good. Sometimes they can be a little cranky, and you can always just use your curling wand or iron or straightener to fix the situation. And this is the finished look. It is the easiest way for me to get something close to my natural texture without having to do a whole wash day routine where only half my hair ends up holding a curl at the end of it. And the goal on this isn't keeping the hair perfectly styled all day. Like, it's gonna get a little bit more beachy and a little bit more like lived in as the day goes on. And having this natural looking texture is great because that just kind of goes into that beachy, boho-y vibe. And it doesn't look accidental, it looks purposeful. Now let's talk strategy, because I think that's very helpful when it comes to humidity. Certain areas of our head are going to be more impacted, and I think roots and hairline are a really big one, partially because humidity is coming in and affecting them, but also because we have sweat there too, so it's like double humidity. And you know what, if it's windy and your face is sticky, that's a sensory nightmare as well. So for this hairstyle, we're gonna tackle the front of the hair and make sure that it is managed, and that way the rest of the hair can do what it wants without being a problem. So instead of trying to control all of the hair, we're just gonna control the parts that humidity hits first. For this, I'm gonna section my hair from the ears forward. Then I'm going to gently slick this back and secure it with an elastic behind my ear. If you want, you can also add in a little bit of product right here, like this little Tresemme hair stick. I'm also gonna grab this little bit of hair behind my ear and bring that together with our front section. And that gives the elastic somewhere to anchor.
Okay, look at this control already. It's out of your face, it's slicked down, but you still get beachy boho vibes. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Now, you could be done here. I do feel this is quite cute, but I want to add in some braids, partially because it just gives it more style and it's very cute, especially in the summer, but also because it contains a little bit more of the hair, so we have less hair to react to the humidity when it's contained in a braid. So I'm going to split this little ponytail behind my ear in half. I'm going to braid each of these sections, and I think I'm also gonna cheat and grab some hair from behind as well that's not in the ponytail, just to kind of make the braids a little bigger. You know what? If you are somebody that really likes your hair out of your face, but you want to wear your hair down, this is the hairstyle for you. This very much feels like my hair is up, but not. It's kind of a weird feeling, but I like it. I've been loving these elastics. I'm gonna see if I can find them again and link them for you guys. They come in all these different colors. Obviously, I don't use all the colors on me. I like having this dark brown that kind of goes in with my hair, and they're a little bit more slippery, so they come out better and pull out less hairs when I take them out. If you've ever had like the really rubbery ones, you know what I mean. And when I let a braid hang down, I do like to just kind of fluff it a little bit, not to make it bigger, but just to make it a little less stiff. Then I've got the rest of the hair from this ponytail. I'm gonna grab a tiny bit of this hair that's falling forward over my ear, and I'm gonna include it in this braid. That way I have the tips of my ears covered a little bit. I know that some people really like to do that with their hair. It's not a huge priority for me usually, but I wanted to give you guys the option just in case you wanted it. Especially with this hairstyle because everything's so pulled back. And I'm gonna secure these at different heights just because I think that'll look good. And there you go, let's repeat that on the other side. Which side do you like better? With braids, without braids? With braids, without braids? You know, a cute way to modify this for short hair would be to do the slick back. And hopefully you could get it into an elastic, or you could use like a snap clip or some bobby pins, and then you could do little baby braids starting up at the top back here and coming down. I think that would look really cute if your hair is just like this long. And then obviously you can wear this with your hair forward so it's off your neck, which is such a nice upgrade during hot weather. And this has the benefit of, like, if you're in the middle of the day and it's super hot, this looks really cute in a claw clip. You can just pull your hair back, throw it into a claw clip, and then when it's a little bit cooler, when you're ready to have your hair back down, you can let it go, bring it back forward, and it still looks cute. And that's the hairstyle. This is how you use strategy to still be able to wear your hair down but fight humidity at the same time. We're starting by creating a small braid at the front corner on each side of the head. We're gonna take these two braids to the back and secure them together with an elastic. And that's gonna be perhaps a little higher on the head than you would normally do because we need room for the rest of the stuff we're gonna do under it. And now we're gonna make two more small braids from just underneath the first ones. So one of the cool things that these braids are doing is that it's adding some weight and containment to the top of the hair so that the hair is less likely to kind of puff up and do wild things on top, especially if you've used some products as well. And that's so helpful. Now we're just gonna braid this long enough to meet up with one of the braids in the elastic that we've already secured. And once you're there, you're just gonna secure those two braids together with another elastic. And now we do the same thing on the other side. And now our very last step is to braid a little bit of these tails until they can join together and we can secure them with an elastic again. I know it's a lot of elastics, but it is just a simple 3-strand braid. So even if you're not like a super braider, I think you'd be okay with this one and you'd be able to get the festival braid vibes without having to be the go-to braid girl. Although I know a lot of you guys are because you're my braidaholic. Okay, I think we all know at this point that I'm a little insecure about my hairline. And I want to let you guys know that this product is actually good. I've seen it on social media so much. Gave it a try and I was like, you know what? I need to tell the people about it. So it has this little sponge, a little powder. You go up, and then you can put it onto your scalp and it helps to fill it in and look pretty realistic. Although if you're gonna be out in the heat, I wouldn't take it like all the way forward to where like your dream hairline would be. But you know, you can put it kind of further back in like the areas that you might be a little bit more concerned about. And this is what I love about hairstyles like this, because the braids give the hairstyle structure and a place for the eye to go. So the ends really become like very secondary and they can kind of do whatever they want. They can puff up, you can lose a little bit of curl, but you still have beautiful braids kind of anchoring everything together. And as a plus with this hairstyle, it looks really good in a low ponytail if you need to get your hair up and off your neck for a little while. And then, you know, take it back out and Daenerys Targaryen vibes. But if you want more than just strategic containment, I've got you. This next hairstyle is about containing all of the hair while creating a really breathable base so that you have a lot more comfort during your day. We're gonna be doing a bubble braid or a dragon braid as people have started to call it, and I really like this one for hot weather because the elastics do a lot of the work of holding together the hairstyle and providing that additional structure to really combat the humidity. Plus, all the parting gives you actual ventilation in your hairstyle, which is such a plus on really, really hot days. So we're gonna divide the hair in half. Just go ahead and clip this half out the way. And we will begin the bubble braid. First, we have our setup round where we create 2 ponytails. First, take a section near the top of your head and secure it with an elastic. Then we're gonna part our hair diagonally and create a second ponytail directly underneath it. And if you want even more control and humidity protection, you can add in more products here like the hair stick. I have this in my hair already from a previous hairstyle and it is really helping the hair to go into a ponytail nicely. So now we have our base, we're ready to start the repeating pattern that goes through the rest of this section. You're just gonna take the top ponytail, split it in half, and then pull the one underneath it up and over. If you can balance this here, go for it. If not, leave it in place. Then you're gonna take another diagonal section, including the hair for the ponytail that we left out. And then we're gonna pull it all together and secure that with an elastic as well. Then you let this part down and you start again. Pull the bottom ponytail over and bring another section together into an elastic. And you're gonna keep doing that until all the hair in this section is into an elastic. And now to make this look a little bit nicer, we're going to pull apart each of these little bubbles very gently. These expand a lot and quickly, so you gotta be careful if you don't want a absolutely massive looking braid. And honestly, you could leave this as a pigtail. It's really cute. Or you could even throw it into and have a bun on each side. That's cute. But what I'm gonna do is go ahead and braid the rest of this normally. You could keep going with the bubble ponytail thing as well. I just kind of like how a normal braid looks with it. And if you're running into the issue that there's kind of too much space here, like your braid is kind of levitating from your head, you can put it where you want it to sit and then just put a bobby pin up and through the braid. Okay, cute. And now we're gonna repeat this on the other side. And this is the hairstyle. This one is ready for the heat. You've got ventilation, you've got things held in place. It's not going anywhere and you didn't need any intricate braiding skills to make it happen. But now on to our most robust humidity fighter yet. If all the other hairstyles in this video were about working with humidity, this is the hairstyle that is ready to fight back. I'm gonna start by pulling all of my hair into a low to mid height ponytail, and I encourage you to use any products you want to help slick things back as you go. At this point, we've learned that humidity loves loose and exposed hair, so the more that we can contain it and utilize products to help keep it slick, the less humidity has a chance to impact it. Now for my favorite part, the scarf. You can use any scarf you like. This one is admittedly a little large, but you want to fold it into a triangle and then just pinch it in the middle, and we're ready to apply. The scarf is going to go through one loop of your elastic. You're just going to feed the corner of the scarf through one loop of your elastic and pull it halfway through so that you got it evenly distributed on either side of your ponytail. For the bun, we're going to create 3 sections. One section is scarf, 2 sections are hair, and you're just going to do a normal braid all the way down and secure with an elastic. So we're going to create the bun by wrapping the braid around in a circle to create that bun, and then take one end of the scarf, keep wrapping that around, and then you can tie the 2 ends of the scarf together to finish off the bun. Then if your bun is doing this, you can secure it to your head using U-shaped hairpins. And of course, if you have any ends hanging out and you don't want them to be, let's pin those in place as well. Now, I feel like this length of scarf would be so cute with like a sundress or a maxi dress. I can just feel like the vacay vibes from it. But of course, you could always go with a shorter scarf for just like some cutie little tails that are just like barely sticking out like this. Either way, that's the hairstyle. And this is why I really love this hairstyle on hot, humid days, because everything is slicked back, it's contained. This scarf will help disguise any softening that happens during the day, and it looks so nice and put together. Plus, it works on everything from first day to third day hair, making it basically your emergency go-to style in the summer. But don't just take my word for it, let's actually test my humidity-resistant strategy in the real world. I am wearing the front slick back style out and about in 90-degree weather with high humidity to see if my strategy is correct. If doing containment plus using products as tools plus embracing your natural texture actually works. So here we are at the start of the experiment, and I'm gonna be heading out to this cute little spot called Holland Stone for a vendor market, and I'm gonna give you updates as I go. The event ended up being so cute, even though it was quite hot outside. I love Holland Stone. It's such a good place to go see some cutie animals, get a little bevy, do some shopping. Definitely recommend if you're in the Raleigh area. And this is my hair about an hour and a half in. I feel like it held up surprisingly well. It was quite breezy, so there's a bit of frizz, but this held up way better than my hair normally does in the heat. I still have a little bit of wave, I still have some definition, and having my hair out of my face was so nice. And here we are now. I think I lasted about 2 hours in total. It was really hot, guys. I think the real feel is over 100 degrees today, and I just couldn't do it anymore. If you've been in a very hot climate with humidity, you understand the struggle. But I must say, I am very pleased with how my hair held up. We had a little bit of curl droppage, a little bit of frizz, but I feel like it all worked into that overall boho style, and it ended up looking really good still, even after a couple of hours. The one thing I did not account for was putting my sunglasses up and down throughout the event, and I did end up kind of rubbing these areas of the hairstyle more than I anticipated. So in the future, I would probably apply a little bit more gel and do a little bit more tension here just to account for that. But overall, I do feel like I put this to the test, and I do feel like it showed that this strategy does work. Strategic containment of the hair, using products as tools, and working with your natural texture does help to make sure that you have a hairstyle that looks good even after being exposed to a lot of humidity and a lot of heat. And there we have it. I hope this video gave you a bunch of tools to help you fight heat and humidity this summer. We tested products, talked about different tips and tricks, tried it out in real life, and I hope at the end of this you're walking away with not just a couple great summer hairstyles, but also tips and tricks that you can use to soup up things that you already love and already do and make them even more heat and humidity protectant. I always want to give you guys not just like a great nugget of information, but things that you can then take and use in your own hairstyling adventures as well. That being said, a bunch of hairstyles from this video are joining my rotation now, especially these waves. I really love them. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button to help support my channel. And as always, you can hit the subscribe button to join the Braidaholic family here on Kayley Melissa. I make all sorts of different hair content videos, from care to styling to science, and I think we have a pretty good time here. But all that being said, that is it for today's video. So whether you're old or new or a casual lurker, thank you for spending time with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah! Bye!